One of the oldest indie publishers in the US and one of my personal favorites recently had a 40% off sale, so I had to grab some books. Here's what I got. This is Confessions of a Mask by Yukio Mishima, who was a Japanese author, considered a pretty pivotal Japanese author in contemporary Japanese literature. This was his debut novel that he published when he was in his early 20s, which, when you consider the depth of the philosophy and introspection in this book, is pretty wild. It's considered autobiographical in nature, even though it is fiction, and it's about the coming of age story of a young gay man. The cover on this one really caught my eye. I think it's one of the coolest book covers I've ever seen, and the synopsis just sounded crazy. But this is House of Fury by Evelio Rosero, and this is a work of translation from Spanish. Rosero is a Colombian author, and it's basically about, from what I can gather, a wealthy family. It's a party at their mansion, and the whole story takes place over one single evening when all this chaos and drama ensues. So I kind of like that locked in, almost like a whodunit, Knives Out type of scenario. But yeah, I don't really know anything about this book or the author other than what's here on the book, but I am pretty pumped about this one. This next book is Elevator in Saigon by Tuan. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I looked it up and found a few different pronunciations, but she's a Vietnamese author, and this story is about a Vietnamese woman living in Paris, and she comes home to Saigon for her mother's funeral, but the circumstances surrounding her mother's death are a bit odd. Her brother had recently built a home with an elevator in it, and it was the first private residence with an elevator in Saigon, and then the mother fell down the elevator shaft. So, yeah, don't know too much about this one other than I want to read a little bit more Vietnamese literature, so I grabbed this. And this last book is a topic and era that I really just gravitate towards. I think it's one of the most interesting periods of history for a number of reasons, just because I think there's a lot of lessons that can be learned from it. But this is The German Lesson by Siegfried Lenz, and this is about a young guy who gets arrested and is incarcerated as a juvenile and tasked with writing an essay about the joys of duty because he's living in Nazi Germany. A lot of times when I get new books in, I will just crack them open to a random page and read a few paragraphs. And when I did that with this book, I was like, oh my God, I want to sit down and read this right now. Unfortunately, I had to put it off just for a little bit because it is quite long and I have some other big reads going on, but I really can't wait to start this one. If you were me, which one of these would you read first?